give up. If I do something, man, I do it till I get what I want. I turn a business out of nothing into something I love. I got a poker face, but honestly, I'm not one to bluff. I flip a switch, never miss, man, I always stay up. Don't let them see you, bitch, always have a plan to stay tough. This life ahead of you ain't easy, it was built to be rough. But that's what makes a personality, is tragedy, bruh. So keep your head on your shoulders. Now we ain't out here moving rocks, we out here moving boulders. Now we ain't getting posterized, we out here making posters. And we ain't got nothing to hide, we move forward like soldiers. You better wake up for the pay stub, or you'll pay up. Don't make love to the game, bruh, fuck the game up. Change up, rearrange stuff to your greatness. Same us for the way up, play the game, bruh.
Never stop, I'll get it if I want it. Gotta make to myself a promise. I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top, yeah.
You know I'm always honest, there ain't no way I'm ever stopping.
I won't quit, keep going till I got it. I won't give up till I'm on top,
I'm always flirting with pain, she like to hurt me and maim. I'm always working to change, but she's still lurking the same. I keep on building this dynasty while the haters be trying me. But they hate from inside, you see, hate themselves in society. So I let them speak quietly while my actions speak wider. See, they be hiding in privacy with the screen, oh the irony. To hate someone who's trying to be whatever they would like to be. We all feel the anxiety, we make our own rivalries. Yo, so where is all the positivity? I feel like we all just hate on everything, it's killing me. Thoughts build quick, causing different possibilities. Negative thoughts will cause different disabilities. So do better, work hard under pressure. If you got no time, work smarter than ever. Don't ever let them tell you that you can't never say never. And turn your mind into the truest to go-getters.
Welcome back to the Goddess of Mystery and Mayhem. I'm happy to those who are returning, and for the newcomers to my channel, welcome here. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Okay, let us start our story for today. Michael Bruce Ross, July 26, 1959 to May 13, 2005, was an American serial killer. In 2005, he was executed by the state of Connecticut. Connecticut ended capital punishment in 2012, and the Connecticut Supreme Court ruled capital punishment unconstitutional in 2015, converting the sentences of the state's remaining death row inmates to life in prison without parole. Ross was born in Putnam, Connecticut, on July 26, 1959, to Patricia Hilda Lane and Dan Graham Ross. He was the oldest of 4 children, having 2 younger sisters and a younger brother. The family lived on a chicken farm in Brooklyn, Connecticut. Ross's home life was extremely dysfunctional. His mother, who abandoned the family at least once, had been institutionalized and beat all 4 of her children, saving the worst treatment for him. Some family and friends have suggested that he was also molested by his teenage uncle, who committed suicide when Ross was 6. He was a bright boy who performed well in school. He graduated from Killingly High School in Killingly, Connecticut, in 1977, and graduated from Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, where he studied economics, in May 1981. He became an insurance salesman. He exhibited antisocial behavior from a young age. Ross began stalking women in his sophomore year of college and, in his senior year, he committed his first rape followed by his first murder soon after. Between 1981 and 1984, Ross murdered 8 girls and women aged between 14 and 25 in Connecticut and New York. He raped 7 out of his 8 murder victims. He also was alleged to have raped, but not killed, a 21-year-old woman named Vivian Dobson in 1983 and a woman named Candace Ferris in Indiana. Plainfield police rejected the possibility that Ross had been Vivian Dobson's rapist. They did not press charges and Ross did not confess. Ross confessed to the 8 murders and was convicted for the last 4 of them. He was sentenced to death on July 6, 1987, in Connecticut by Judge G. Sarsfield Ford. In 2001, while on death row, Ross pleaded guilty to first-degree manslaughter for killing Paula Pereira in New York in 1982 and was sentenced to 8 1/3 to 25 years in prison. He spent almost 18 years on death row before his execution in May 2005. Michael Ross's victims were Zung Nak Tu, age 25, May 12, 1981. Cornell University student, Tammy Williams, 17, January 5, 1982. Brooklyn, Connecticut, Paula Pereira, 16, March 1982. Middletown, New York, Deborah Smith Taylor, 23, June 15, 1982. Griswold, Connecticut, Robin Dawn Stavinsky, 19, October 23, 1983. Norwich, Connecticut, April Bernays, 14, April 22, 1984. Griswold, Connecticut, Leslie Shelley, 14, April 22, 1984. Griswold, Connecticut, Wendy Barabalt, 17, June 13, 1984. Griswold, Connecticut. During his incarceration, he met his fiancée, Susan Powers, of Oklahoma. Powers broke up with Ross in 2003 but still visited him until his death. He became a devout Catholic after his arrest in 1984, meeting regularly with two priests through the years and praying the rosary each morning. During his time in prison, Ross translated documents into Braille, acted as a mentor to other inmates, and financially sponsored a child from the Dominican Republic. Although he opposed the death penalty, Ross strongly supported his death sentence in the last year of his life, saying that he wanted to spare his victims' families any more pain. According to Catherine Yeager, a Cornell graduate, Ross believed that he had been forgiven by God, and that he would be going to a better place once he was executed. She said, "He's not being punished. He's moving on to life eternal. That's what is ironic about the death penalty. He's looking forward to the peace." Yeager also said that Ross had come to believe there was no way his death sentences would be commuted without forcing the victims' families to suffer through more legal hearings, and that he knew his life would be meaningful, even behind bars. He's had a horrible life, and he's wanted to do good. Despite this, an hour before the execution was to take place in the early hours of January 26, 2005, Ross's lawyer, acting on behalf of Ross's father, obtained a 2-day stay of execution. Ross was then scheduled to die by lethal injection on January 29, 2005, at 2:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. However, earlier in the day, the execution was again postponed because of doubts that Ross was mentally competent. Having fought against his death sentence for 17 years, he suddenly waived his right to appeal. His attorney claimed that Ross was incompetent to waive appeals because he suffered from death row syndrome. In his final days, Ross became an oblate, or associate, of the Benedictine Grange, a Roman Catholic monastic community in West Reading, Connecticut. Ross was executed by lethal injection on May 13, 2005, at Osborne Correctional Institution in Somers, Connecticut. He was 45 years old. Ross did not request a special last meal before facing his execution, thereby dining on the regular prison meal of the day: turkey a la king with rice, mixed vegetables, white bread, fruit, and a beverage. When asked if he would like to make a last statement, he said, without opening his eyes, "No, thank you." Ross was pronounced dead at 2:25 a.m. His remains were buried at the Benedictine Grange Cemetery in Reading, Connecticut. After the execution, Dr. Stuart Gracian, a psychiatrist who had argued that Ross was not competent to waive appeal, received a letter from Ross dated May 10, 2005, which read, "Check, and mate. You never had a chance." Ross's execution was the first in Connecticut and in all of New England since 1960. It was also the first and only execution in Connecticut administered by lethal injection. As of June 2020, Ross is the last inmate executed in Connecticut. The death penalty was abolished in Connecticut on April 25, 2012. Vivian Dobson, whom Ross was alleged to have raped, became a vocal opponent of the death penalty to save Ross's life. The execution of Ross was the first in Connecticut in 2005, the first execution in Connecticut since 1960, the 22nd execution in the United States in 2005, and the 966th execution in the United States since 1976. We have come to the end of Michael Ross's history. I hope you have gained some insight into this psycho murder, He made many excuses for murdering these young women. Till we meet again, please stay safe in this world, and am sending you all my love.